Well, you can stay stood up if you want. I haven't turned around yet, so I'm not sure. Now, Kyle, come here. The thing is, when they said we were changing the name to a youth service, I'm 41. I may be the youth pastor, but I'm 41. So I figured we'd have youth actually do something, which would be wonderful. Did you all notice how it was set up when you arrived today? That no one had to do anything. We changed how we're setting up, which was amazing. Go stand there. Carl is going to do our scripture reading for us, which will appear on the screen as well.
All right, scripture reading tonight comes from Matthew 13, verse 23. But the seed falling on good soil refers to someone who hears the word and understands it. This is the one who produces a crop yielding 100, 60, or 30 times what was sown.
Thank you very much. You feeling better now? Well, he was nervous today. Woo! So, I'm going to preach about my slide, which is going to appear. Too blessed to be stressed. To start with, that's what I'm going to preach about. So I need 2 volunteers, males. I need men. And I said men. Put your hand down. And come here, you two. For those that didn't see at the beginning, there is a line here that I taped earlier because I'm organized. You know, I used to do escapology, right?
What's that?
It's when you escape from traps and stuff in front of people, in front of the audience. Ah, it's okay. It's not me that's escaping. Right. I want you to imagine something for me. JD and Kyle are both good Christians. That's not what you're imagining they are. And they're on a boat. That was a compliment. And the boat hits an iceberg. It's like the Titanic. And the boat goes down and everybody dies on the Titanic. Except these two. Because they're good swimmers. So they swim and they swim and they swim and they end up to an island. And on this island, they decide they're going to split the island in 2. Hence the line. And they've had this conversation and they've decided that they're Christian men, they're going to pray to God. But they're men. And men are always in competition. So they decide they're going to split the island. One's going to stay one side, one's going to stay the other. And they're going to pray for themselves to God to see who has the strongest prayers, to see who survives the longest on the island. So the first night, they start praying and they pray for food. Mr. Delivery doesn't deliver on the island, Carl. So they're praying for food. The next morning, when they wake up, somebody has food. Nope, no food for you. Somebody has food. Carl didn't get any food. But Carl prayed hard. No, you didn't want to share. Because now you're thinking, did I pray harder than him? Am I worthier than him? Yeah. Clearly. Yeah. So the next night comes, and they're praying for a little bit of shelter, and they pray hard, and they pray hard, and they pray hard. And the next morning when they wake up, there is a tree behind JD. And Carl still has nothing. You picked the wrong side. Carl doesn't have anything. JD has a tree for shade. He's getting food. And the next night, they pray for water because they're getting thirsty. And the next day, JD has water. As always, Carl still doesn't get anything. But Carl's still praying hard. The next day, JD's feeling lonely. Carl's feeling lonely. So they pray for a wife. And the next day, another boat crashes. And JD gets a wife. Carl doesn't get a wife, but Carl is just praying as hard as JD is, but he's not getting it. So JD's on the island, and he's got water, he's got food, he's got shelter, he's got a wife. I wouldn't have prayed for, no, I'm joking. I'm joking. She's not here. I'm fine. She's at home. It's okay. She's at home. It's okay. So Carl still doesn't have anything. Is my daughter here? Oh. So they're both praying the same amount of time, and they're both praying as hard. They're both Christian men. But JD's getting everything, and Carl isn't getting anything. And Carl still doesn't waver. Carl still keeps praying. So they pray one more time, and they pray to be taken from the island and to go home. JD's going to take his wife, his food, and his water, and Carl's going to take himself home. And the next day, a rescue boat appears, but it appears on JD's side of the island. But they both prayed really hard. They were both there on their knees. They had their hands together. They were into the prayer. They were giving everything they'd got. And they prayed and they prayed and they prayed. But the boat landed on JD's side. So JD takes his wife and puts her in the boat. He takes the food and he puts it in the boat, and he takes the water. And Carl goes to step in the boat, and JD stops him and says, I'm sorry. God doesn't favor you. You pray and you pray and you pray and nothing happens. So you can stay on the island, and I'm going home with my wife and my food and my water. And at this moment, JD, full of joy, hears God's voice. And God says to him, who are you to stop him being saved? And JD answers, Lord, I prayed and I prayed and I prayed, and you gave me everything I wanted. I asked for food. I asked for water. I asked for a wife. I asked for a boat, and you gave me everything. And God said, yes. So if he's not favored you by you, Lord, why should I let him be rescued? And the answer was simply this. Kyle didn't pray for food. Kyle didn't pray for water. Kyle didn't pray for a wife. He didn't pray to be rescued. He prayed that all of JD's prayers would be answered. So JD's standing there saying, you're not getting on the boat. It's because of Carl that he survived for the boat. You can both sit down. So, this is where it gets complicated, because I had a sermon written to go with this. I worked hard. I'm really, really good at spending days on sermons. I'll lock myself in my office. I'll stick the aircon on about 17 degrees. For those that know me know that's true. When they come in my office is like an icebox, because I like it like that. And I locked myself in and I wrote a sermon for tonight. And then yesterday, I went to Epworth Children's Home for their centennial birthday celebration. And Epworth Children's Home has been around for 100 years. 100 years, children's home. Myself and Sam Belito went. Where are you, Sam? Put your hand up so I can see you. Sam is hiding at the back. Now, we got tickets because it's a big event. It was 120 rand a ticket. So Sam and I will go. We get up early in the morning. We go through to Lambton. We arrive early. Yes, we're Methodists and we arrive early. It's hard to believe, but we did. But when I say we arrived early, the ticket said 8:30. When we arrived, nobody was there. Sound wasn't set up. We arrived at 8:15. Chairs are set out. There's 2 or 3 people who are setting up, but there's nobody there. So Sam and I start joking. We're messing around. I'm drinking their cold water. They've got a water machine in the corner. We're looking around. And it gets to 9:15, and there's still nobody there. It gets to 9:30. There's still nobody there. Gets to 9:45. I'm looking at Sam. I'm like, are we the only people that are coming to this thing? The seat's set up. There's a lovely tent. It's about 90 degrees in the tent. Sam, in her wisdom, chooses seats near the back, next to the speaker that I didn't see, on a hill. So I was on a rocking chair all the way through this, and I'm rocking as we're talking. And for those that know me, that's a good thing, because I like to rock when I'm listening. Next to the speaker, I can't decide if Sam thinks I'm old and I need to be near the speaker to hear him, or if she just wanted to deafen me because those guys didn't know how to work a sound system. And that speaker screeched for 90% of when people arrived. Bear in mind, this is at a children's home. It is an Epworth village where they have 65 children. So we wait. And then people start arriving. And Sam and I look at the brochure, the piece of paper, the run-through of what we're doing. And on the top it says, and I'm not lying to you, breakfast at Germiston Methodist Church. So Sam and I are there. We've got the ticket, but nobody told us it was a breakfast at Germiston Methodist Church first. And I like food. I eat a lot. Haven't eaten breakfast. I'm hungry, and now I'm a little bit annoyed because it was breakfast, and I wasn't invited to this breakfast, but I was paid for the breakfast, but I wasn't invited. So Sam, being Sam, and if you don't know Sam, Sam is an eternal optimist. She smiles for everything. She says to me, "Don't worry, James, we'll be fine." I'm like, "Cool. I'll let your optimism rub off on me." Cool. And then people start arriving, and these people arrive, and it's bishops, and it's ministers, and it's nicely dressed people in suits, and it is shirts and ties, and it is lots of, and it amazes me. I've never seen this anywhere else in the world, and I've been around. The ladies from the traditional churches with their different colored outfits, the red and the white, and the white and the red, and the blue and the white, and they don't sit together. They sit apart from each other, and yeah, which is great. They're all coming in dressed lovely. Everybody's coming in. And I'm sat there in jeans and a t-shirt, and Sam's wearing shorts and a string top. When they walk in, this is what happens. Imagine I am sat there, next to Lebo there, the guy in the hat, that's me. So when these people walk in, bear in mind I'm used to this, it doesn't bother me. When people walk in, they stop, and they get to me, and they go, and walk. And I'm cool with that, because I look different. I'm cool with that, I don't mind. It's okay that you want to, that's fine. Then I had a very large bald man come to me and say, "If I grow my hair, do you think I can dye it like yours?" And I said, "Dude, I will dye it for you. Grow your hair, I'll dye it for you." Because I'm friendly, I'm approachable, I'm okay. You want to speak to me about my hair color? I'm cool with that. So we sit, and there's these amazing people from the Methodist Church here. And the first thing that happens is the first guy steps up, and he gets the microphone. The sound system is terrible. They have a little lapel mic that they're all holding. And they start talking, and this first guy gets up, and he runs it, or he's in charge of it, and he's explaining about what the home does. And then he says, "Epworth is a Methodist children's home. It is a Methodist children's village." And I sat there, and I've been to Epworth. I go there quite a lot. And I didn't know it was a Methodist children's village. Because they don't have it in the title, they have Epworth Children's Village. Nobody tells you that it is a Methodist home. So I'm learning. I turned to Sam, asked Sam, did she know? She knew. She cheats. Her father is the society steward or a steward somewhere. She knew this, but yeah, she knows people. It's okay. But I didn't know. So I'm learning. Second lady stands up. Oh, she looks official. I better listen. So I'm listening. And she's the bishop of everywhere in South Africa, the Methodist bishop everywhere in South Africa, secretary, because he couldn't make it. So she stands up and she tells me that this year, from September, the Methodist Council has decided this year is going to be a children's and youth year. The Methodist churches are going to band together, and we're going to do more for children and youth. And this was from September. I work in the office. I'm there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm off Thursday. I'm there Friday. I'm here on a Saturday and a Sunday too. I didn't know this. We didn't know this. Nobody told us. I feel like we've been doing it anyway, but nobody told us. So then she stands up and she talks about how Charles Wesley, you all know who he is, right? Please tell me you know who he is. Have I got them? John Wesley, close enough. There's a reason why I'm getting the name wrong. I'll explain it now. John Charles. No, it wasn't. His son was called Charles. Ah, I see. John Wesley. You all know who John Wesley is. Put your hand up if you don't know who John Wesley is. You all should be ashamed of yourself. No, I'm joking. John Wesley is the father of Methodism, right? He was the one who told us to split. He went, let's go do it this way. And he gave us rules and we follow the rules. We're Methodists. That's what we do. But we don't. I know this because this lady told us some of the rules. And I didn't know any of these rules. I don't know if any of you know any of these rules. So I went and got the rules. And I'm going to read you the rules. And I want to see if any of you are following the rules, because we're Methodists. And it's our rules. So, meet at least an hour each week with the children as a group in those congregations with 10 or more children. And when she read this, I'm like, yeah, we got that one. We got Sunday school. Great. But they don't just mean the ministers. They don't just mean the Sunday school teachers. They mean everybody. How many of you, when you came in, spoke to youth? I don't mean just greet. I mean actually spoke. And you youth are just as bad. Did you go speak to anybody? I know, Carl, you'll speak to anybody. It's cool. That's one rule, and as they went into it, I'm like, wait, we don't do that. We don't mix. We don't talk to each other. We don't spend time with each other. We do something at this church. If the adults do something at the church, the youth don't support it. If the youth do something at this church, the adults don't really support it. It's like we're separate. John Wesley didn't want that. We're Methodists. And that's the first one. Second one, converse with the children face to face when we see them. Talk with them. We already covered that. We don't do it. I do it because I've got the mental edge of a 12-year-old. I associate with them more than I associate with adults. That's just who I am. But we don't mix. We don't speak to each other. We don't go. Guarantee if one of you, 2 or 3 of you may do it, the rest, there's a child crying over here. You walk through on a Sunday morning. How many of you will stop and ask what's wrong? We're supposed to. We're a family. We're a community. That's what we're supposed to do. And we don't all do it. And I'm not saying, understand, I'm not saying I do it every time. I don't. I'm just as bad. I'm not saying this is me telling you should be doing this. We all should be doing it. John Wesley says so. The next one, pray earnestly for the children. This one we do. This one I know we do. So out of the 3 first, I can tick this one. Great. This one we do. Instruct their parents and encourage them in their Christian lives. I think I've spoken to 4 parents since I've been youth pastor here. And it's always when there's a problem. I might get a greet, or I might greet you on the way past and say, how's your day? But I've never come to you and said, your kid's doing really well. They really are getting spiritual. They really are walking the right path. That's on me. I haven't done that. And if you guys want to come to me and you want to ask me something, and I'm not joking, my door is always open. It's cold in my office, but my door is always open. You are welcome to come in. If I'm spending time with your kids, you are welcome to come and see what I'm doing. Because you're trusting me with their lives. You're trusting me with their growth. And we're Methodists, and that's what we're told to do. So you're welcome to come and talk to me. Nobody does, but you're welcome to. I make nice coffee. I will say, this one shook me a little bit. How many of you say, if you don't have gifts for ministering to children, you're not going to do it? Because Wesley says you should. Wesley says, if you don't have gifts for ministering to children, do it anyway. We're Methodists. This is what we should be doing. And it goes on. Pray for the gift to relate to children. I pray for that. But not everybody does, and we should. We are a community. It takes more than one person to bring up a child. 50, 60 years ago, we did it as a village. Now we do it locked in behind walls, and I get it, South Africa, and I guess we're scared, but there's nothing to be scared of here. Nothing bad is going to happen here. Preach annually on the topic of forming children in the faith. So yearly we have to do this. Yearly we have to get together and have a meeting and say, how are we going to get through to our children? And why am I changing this? Why is this not about blessing? And I can feel minds are drifting and wondering what I'm doing. In the Bible it says this, and this came to me last night and I'll explain. Psalm 127 verse 3 to 5. Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord. The fruit of the womb, a reward like arrows in the hand of warriors, are the children of one's youth. Blessed is the man who fills his quiver with them. He shall not be put to shame when he speaks with his enemies in the gate. Children are a blessing. When I started this, it was too blessed to be stressed. And the sad part is society and us and everyone has made our blessing stressed. And last night when I got home from Epworth, and I'm going to tell you what else happened, and it might offend some people, and I'm sorry, but if God gives me a message, I'm going to tell it. I got home from Epworth last night and I couldn't sleep. So I changed my preach because God hit me and said, you will preach about what I want you to preach. You need to change it. And I'm like, I can't. Everybody already thinks I go off and do my own thing and I'm the rebel. If I do this, I'm going to get in trouble. And God said, no, you've got to do this. So I'm going to tell you what else happened at Epworth. And if it offends some of you, I'm sorry. Because it hurt. I hurt yesterday. My heart was sore. And I don't get hurt easy. I sat there and the Epworth children came down and they sat around me and Sam. The Epworth children know me. They know my hair. They know my tattoos. They know my name is James. And they came and sat with me. And not one person, the whole morning that we were there, from that whole group, interacted with a child, apart from me and Sam Belito. Nobody. Sandra was there, Sandra did. Anyone from here was great. Everywhere else, nobody interacted with a child. And I'm sat there, and my heart's starting to ache, and I'm starting to feel heavy in my chest, and I started not to like where I was, and the people who know me I start to fidget, and I start to get mischievous. I am surrounded by 65 small children. And I'm starting to misbehave. I'm starting to prod Sam and push her because I'm bored, irritated. The kids start to do the same. That lady stands up and she says how we need to change our preaching style to get through to children. And then in 10 minutes after she finishes her talk, another gentleman stands up and speaks for 45 minutes in that hot tent to 65 children and me about how Methodism spread across South Africa. He wasn't exciting. He spoke like this. It went on for 45 minutes. I felt like I'd been there 45 years. The kids were fidgeting, upset. They weren't happy. Their house mothers are getting cross. The house mothers are getting cross at me because I'm fidgeting. I'm cool with it. Get cross at me. I'm fine. I start rocking on the chair. I get told off for rocking on the chair. This guy told these kids about death and hatred and carts running over people and almost chopping them in half, and people losing babies. And these kids are from the age of 7 to 16. 5 minutes ago, we were talking about how the Methodist Church is going to be more friendly to children. There is 65 children there, and they're all bored. They don't understand the message, and they're getting told a horror story. And I get it. There's horror stories in the Bible. There's horror stories in life. This is their birthday, their 100th birthday. And I sat there, and I'm starting to feel more uncomfortable. And I'm starting to feel not great. And Sam's trying to keep me calm, and Sam's smiling and saying, everything's going to be fine, James. And she can see I'm getting more and more wound up. So we go on. And as I'm getting more annoyed, then this happens. The house mothers come over to the children and tell the children, don't move. Everybody else is going for tea. 65 children surrounding me are told they have to sit still while all those people who've just been for a breakfast are now going to go get tea. And I sit there and I'm, wait, what? Sam looks at me and she's like, don't, James. I'm like, okay. So I go get tea. They didn't have coffee. They only had tea. Don't understand that. There's probably a reason. And they had scones. I say scones because I had two Irish kids at service this morning when we discussed this. And they told me it was scones, not scones. I'm northern, it's scones where I come from. And we had muffins and we had cookies. So knowing me and knowing Sam, who looks sweet and innocent, I start loading Sam up with food. And I take it outside and start sneaking it off to these kids as I go past. And I know I'm seen doing it and I don't care. How can you expect 65 children to sit there while you and all these people are sat drinking tea and eating cookies in front of them? No. No. It was awful. My heart started getting heavier. It started getting thicker. And that thing inside me. And those that know me go, we went to Global Leadership Summit. I went with Simone. I went with Matt. I went with Jean. I went with Wayne. And they sat me in between John and Wayne and Simone and Matthew. Because they know I'm that guy. I'm the guy, if he hears or sees something he doesn't like, I'm going to say something. Whether it's Global Leadership Summit, whether it's a children's home. And I wasn't liking this, and Sam's starting to panic a little bit, but she's keeping smiling. She's keeping me down. I take my chair, and I'm going to show you what I did. I take my chair while these people are talking, and they're talking, and they're talking, and they're talking, and I'm getting more and more upset. And I'm sat with all these kids behind me, and some kids beside me. And if you don't believe me, on Sandra's Facebook, there is a picture of this. And I didn't know she was taking a picture. I didn't set this up. There was a picture of this. I stood up and I turned my chair around. And I sat down and I looked at the children and I went, entertain me, I'm bored. Because I was bored and they were bored and it was their birthday party. It was their 100th birthday party. And those kids weren't thought of 1 second. And that annoys me. I listened to so many people yesterday saying about Methodism and how the church is going to help children. And then I watched them. And the sad part is, it's not even their fault. I can't blame anybody that was there. Because as a society, this is what we've become. We go to events, we go to children's stuff. We don't interact with children anymore. Why don't we interact with children anymore? We're worried what people are going to say. Yesterday, I had children playing with my hair. I had children looking at my tattoos. These kids know me. I walk in there, the first thing they do when I sit down, and you'll love this, they start telling me to look at the roof. But those that know my puppet shows, one of the skits that we do is when I have a puppet tell me to look at the roof. And I'm looking at the roof. And the puppet's telling me to look at the roof, look at the back, look over there, look over there. We get the kids up to look at the roof. We walk around, and I get more and more annoyed at this puppet because it's making me walk around, and I'm tired, and I'm doing a show, and it's interfering, and I'm getting angry and angry and angry, and I start shouting at the puppet. And then the puppet will say, but James, on Sunday you told us God was everywhere. So why can't you see him in the roof? Why can't you see him at the back of the room? Why can't you see him at the left? And why can't you see him at the right? And I was still aching. My heart was sore. I've had all these people at the front talk about taking these children further and taking you guys further and the church taking people further and taking youth and being there. And nobody interacted with a child. Nobody spoke to a child. And yet they were at this birthday party. And then, and this is where I start losing it, they have a gospel singer arrive. And just before the gospel singer, the guy who runs the home stands up and he says, we nearly didn't make salaries this month. Luckily, we got a donation at the last minute so we could pay everybody. And then they have a gospel singer who arrives, who sings. She's got a beautiful voice. All the way through her singing, she's pumping her new CD. And they start selling the CD to the people who are sat. And people are buying it. It's 50 Rand. It's not much for a CD. 5 minutes ago, we had the guy running the place saying, we didn't have money to pay salaries. We got a donation. So my brain is simple. I may have ADHD, but my brain gets there really quick. If that had been me, if I'd been the gospel singer who was selling my DVDs, I would have given the money to the home. It's a 100th birthday party. You were invited to sing. You weren't invited to make money. And I'm not judging her, it's society. Understand, I'm not saying I'm better. It is society. It is how we are raised. It is what the TV shows us. And this is where we end up. So as angry as I am and loving food the way I do, the hardest thing of the whole thing, I'm sore, I'm aching. 1 o'clock comes along. It is lunchtime. The kids get a plastic bag with an orange a cool drink, a pack of chips, and a sandwich. And they have a 3-course lunch for us. And myself and Sam left before the lunch. And I love food. And I could have connected with those people. I could have told them a message. But I was so angry. And I was so hurt for those children. There's some good things that came from yesterday. I got locked in. I went to go play with the children because I was bored. And I don't know if any of you have ever been to Epworth, but they have houses. And around the houses, they have security gates and fences and locked gates. And this little boy and another little boy started fighting, and I broke up the fight. And this little boy was angry. And I spoke to him. I said, why are you angry? Because I always get picked on. So trying to relax him, I say, come, show me where you live. Show me where you sleep. Show me where you eat. While he's doing this, they locked all the kids in, and I got locked in with the kids. Which was good for me. It was bad for Sam. She was on the other side. I was fine. The kids remembered my name from the last time I was there. Yesterday hurt. As a Methodist and as a Christian, yesterday hurt. I don't go to Epworth enough. I don't. I should go more. Time. Family. I have 3 children. I spend so much time away from my children already. I still should make time to go to Epworth. For those that don't know, last year in December, myself and 3, 4, 5 of the youth and a couple of the Sunday school leaders put on a Sunday school dinner for the children at Epworth. At the time, there were 75 of them. This was before I was doing this. And we put on the show, and we brought them for lunch. 2 weeks before the lunch, the supplier of the meat, the sponsor, disappeared. We didn't have meat for 75 children. I prayed about it. I didn't come to the congregation. I prayed about it. We spoke at Sunday school. I started contacting my friends. That day, every child ate their fill of meat and food and puddings. And one of the children in Afrikaans, and I'm going to attempt to pronounce it correctly, who still remember this, ate themselves stickend. Say it again? Yeah, I'm never going to get that. That's what they told me yesterday. They remember a year ago when we did a Christmas lunch. And then these kids come to me and go, James, or Uncle James, because they know the uncle annoys me, so they do it on purpose. Obviously, that's what children do. Uncle James, are you going to come get us this Christmas? Are you going to do a lunch for us this Christmas? And I'm sat there and I'm like, oh, it's so much work. Because it is work. And then I sat there and I thought, but I'm just as guilty as everybody else here. So I'm going to try and put on a Christmas lunch this year. I'm going to attempt it. If I did it in 2 weeks, last year I've got 2 months this year. So I'm going to make the effort. I'm going to be there for our blessings. I'm going to make sure I'm there. I'm going to make sure I'm there for every single one of these. If you're going to trust me with your blessings, I'm going to do the best job I can. And you need to understand, as different as I look and as tattooed as I am, I promise you, I'm there for every single one of them. And I am. They're welcome in my office anytime. They're welcome to catch me. They're welcome to speak to me anytime they want. I will stand in front of them so that the problems of today don't get to them. But I'm going to do that at Epworth too. So I'm not mad at the people who didn't interact with the children. I'm not mad at the people who were there, who were bishops and everybody who was there who didn't interact with the children. I'm mad at myself because for 6 months, I've been working here and I haven't been changing people's opinions. So I'm going to change people's opinions. God wants me to change people's opinions. Next time they have something there, I'm going to make sure that those people interact with those children so that they know why they're there. Epworth Children's Home is 99.9% sexually abused children. I got hugged, ruffled, pushed, pinched. Every single one of these kids just wants that little bit of attention. And it's a Methodist children's home. So I get home last night and I lay in bed, don't sleep. God wants me to change my sermon. I'm up till 3 o'clock changing what I'm talking about. Come here this morning, I'm nervous because I talked to the youth about it first. I do this there. I know it's going to upset some people that I could say, why aren't Methodists doing more? Why aren't Christians doing more? Someone's going to be offended. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't hurt today because I've told you how I feel. So I don't care if I've offended anyone today. I don't. God wants this message out, it's out. So I'm not going to go any further. I'm not going to tell you any of the kids' stories. I heard a couple. But that's their story, not mine. I will tell you this. As we're walking around the houses, because we went on a tour, we're walking around, and the smell in these houses, all you smell is pee. Ammonia, that's what you smell. And I can't understand why, because I see that everything's clean. I don't understand why does everything smell of pee, until the lady who's showing us around tells us 99.9% of the children in there have been sexually abused, and sexually abused children pee the bed. And their sheets and duvets are washed every day, and the beds are washed every day. Epworth Children's Home uses 45,000 rands worth of electricity and water a month to wash sheets and beds. So I'm not pumping them for money. I'm not pimping them. Everybody's got their own charities they support, and I'm cool with that. But I am pimping for your support for those kids. So if you hear me doing something, if you hear the Christmas thing, I'm not even asking you to give for that. God will provide. But come along to it and show those kids that they're a Methodist children's home. Because that's what we're supposed to do. And I'm finished.